I have one question.
Sure.
You praised the 911 Commission, and I'm wondering how you could praise it when they didn't even mention Building 7?
I don't know the details of Building 7, so I can't help you, sir. Sorry.
Just Google it.
I will. My own hunch is it's not at all obvious to me that the second Iraq War would have happened absent 9/11. This desire to shape history, to transform the Middle East. I actually think that the 43rd president had a tremendous desire to be a big president, to be a consequential president, one who did bold things. And I believe that he looked at his father's handling of dramatic situations, including the end of the Cold War, or the first Iraq War, or the Madrid Peace Conference, and more broadly, his presidency as a low-keyed presidency. And I believe that he wanted to do, again, something, to use the favorite word of the Bush administration, transformational. And the irony is that he succeeded. He succeeded. It was a consequential presidency. But just, I believe history is going to be quite critical of the consequence. And ironically enough, I believe history is going to be quite favorable in its judgment of the father. And, you know, historical reputations ebb and flow. And my guess is in 25 years, the 41st president is seen quite favorably. And I would expect far more so than the 43rd.
Thank you.
Dr. Haass, again, I'm Stuart Howe with WeAreChangeLA.
What is WeAreChangeLA?
It's a LA chapter of a group that was started by a guy named Luke Radowski. He's trying to raise money and awareness for the first responders, family of the victims and whatnot. And we're just trying to get accountability and honesty about all the situations going on, the big picture stuff. So I really appreciate your being here. There was a quote by a gentleman named Chester Ward. He was a Rear Admiral and former Navy Judge Advocate. Apparently he was a CFR member for 15 years, and he is quoted as saying, I'd love to get your reaction to this because I don't know what to make of it, but it sounds alarming, that the main purpose of the Council on Foreign Relations is promoting the disarmament of U.S. sovereignty and national independence.
Please cut you off. One, we have no policy. We don't take institutional positions on any policy. Our only goal is to contribute to the debate in this country about policy. I've got over 4,000 members. I don't know if he's a member. They have 4,000 sets of opinions, so that's the way it goes.
So, okay. So, is there a globalist agenda that transcends our national sovereignty?
We don't have an agenda.
You made a very interesting point that when we went to war, that you didn't go through the normal channels of democracy and the Constitution. War wasn't declared, and then you talked about perhaps going to the UN for a global backing of that.
Going to the UN is simply about getting the backing of other governments. It's a pretty smart, practical thing to do if you're going to go to war.
Absolutely.
It's nice to get their support.
You would think if that's your goal and agenda, and
if that's your goal, you always want to share the burden to the extent you can. You always want to diffuse political opposition. It's not about global conspiracies or backing or anything like that.
Well, there seems to be a lot of global, a lot of alignment of agendas with a security and prosperity partnership, I'm sure you're aware of. And
in a global world, I would think sometimes we want global cooperation. It seems to me if you want to combat global problems, whether it's swine flu or climate change or terrorism or proliferation, you want the support of as many countries around the world as you can get.
I would agree. I would agree. Also, you know, it's always been that a lot of things are done under the guise of a benign moving forward of cooperation. And, you know, our leaders have talked a lot lately around the world about a new world order. And we're starting to see that emerge with police state, the dismantling of our rights, of our First Amendment, under the guise of the Patriot Acts calling for war on terror. We're seeing people are losing their right to speak out, ask real questions. They're losing, you know, without being tasered. We're losing our rights to own firearms. Everything is.
I don't see a lot of rights being lost on the Second Amendment, and even on the First Amendment, I don't see a lot of rights being lost. But I think there's a serious conversation for society. You want to have it great, which is what's the balance between individual liberties and collective security? And we have to ask ourselves, in this age, are there any compromises we as a society want to make? We're not talking about serious infringement. We're talking about slight compromise.
We're not?
No, I don't think we are.
Well, when I think the director of the Central Intelligence Agency a few months ago, questions along these lines? Just to get his response to his last question. He already made a point. Is it okay if I just finish my question, then I'll...
But you had a question already.
Other people are trying to get his question. Finish and see if he agrees with the director of the Central Intelligence Agency that he said we need to proceed along these lines without affecting or dismantling the DNA of the country. That DNA, I would say, is the Constitution, and that is really being taken apart.
Well, of course we want to protect it. I disagree with you fundamentally. It's being taken apart.
Thank you for chatting with me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Richard. You know, it's funny, you didn't see Building 7 fall. That was pretty interesting that you never saw that building fall. Do you have any comment? You never go.
I want to thank you again for showing up. Talk about the ruins you don't know about. You don't even want to get into it. 3 buildings fall down that night.
Day, sorry.
I know. Everyone's sorry. Everybody's sorry.